If you want to be a profitable day trader, you've come to the right video because I'm going to talk about an entry model that I've personally used to get hundreds of thousands of dollars of payouts from prop firms. And this isn't going to be some hypothetical in hindsight trade that we could have taken. This is an actual live trade that we took live in the war room. The war room is a live trading session that we hold during the New York session open, and it is for people to come in and watch people that trade full-time like myself and Student Alpha while teaching this entry model. So if you're interested in taking your day trading game to the next level, I will leave the link to that group and that membership in the description of this video. So check it out when you have time. So let's get right into it. So what we're looking at here is gold futures, but you can also translate this to spot gold, which is Forex. And the very first thing that we look at, this line right here, you see this? This is the actual New York Open where it changes color on futures. It's a feature that TradingView has. The very first thing we always do is we always consider the 1 hour chart here to kind of see what our bias is going to be. So our bias is determined by the current momentum of the asset. So for gold here, we can see that obviously it is looking very bullish, and these two lines that I have on the chart, this white line here is the 20 EMA and this yellow line is the 9 EMA. So basically all I do is I mark out where that 20 EMA is, and that is going to be looking for buys above that line, and we look for sells below that line. So that's how we determine the bias. Now, sometimes we use the 5-minute, other times for more accurate or aggressive entries, we use the 1 minute. In this case, we use the 1 minute. So we're going to go right down to the 1 minute chart here. And there's a few things that we're looking at. You see the blue line right here? This is the VWAP. The VWAP is extremely valuable as an indicator, okay? The other indicator that we have up on the chart here is the volume. Now the volume is probably the most important thing that we're looking at because it is a leading indicator. We can kind of see when money is entering the market, when there's interest in an asset. If there's a big bullish candle and it has low volume, well, it's not really competing with sellers, right? It's not wiping out sellers at the same time. So what we're looking at, the very first thing on the New York Open, we know we want to look for longs, right? But we also want to look for longs when price closes above this VWAP level. We want to go long when we are gaining market structure above the VWAP. So you can see here, this is exactly how it played out. The New York opened, we were watching the asset, we had a nice sell-off to start, and then buyers stepped in here. And we can see with this big bullish engulfing candle on the 1 minute chart, and it had higher volume than the previous candle that failed to break through that VWAP. That was a beautiful indication that we're looking to enter long in the market. Now with gold during the New York session, when we're in the war room as well, typically we're looking for a 5 to 10 point move. You can go higher if you want to trail the stop, but we kind of want to get in and out of the market and then look for another trade setup later. Then we can actually take our wins, right? So the way we played this one out is when we had this big bullish engulfing candle break through the VWAP, that was our read to look for a long entry. Now, something that we typically do, and you can do this on the 5 minute, you go to the 5 minute chart here, and you can kind of like consider previous market structure. Take a look at it, and you can see in the session here during Asian New York session, we can see that we had previous swing highs. Now, we have a ceiling price, and we can mark out price action where, okay, where might we potentially find sellers if we were to go long? And that is a very important thing to consider because you don't want to be buying in an asset when you have a price point that might find sellers once again, as it has here previously. It just creates a higher probability for the trade not to play out in your favor. So you can see here, we have lots of room. If we're targeting 10 points, we have lots of room to go long to collect our profits. So we can go back down to the 1 minute once we've determined, hey, there's no major resistance that our TP runs through. So we can go back to the 1 minute chart here. And what I like to do, and sometimes we take market orders, which would look like this, and sometimes we take like a VWAP bounce, which is something that we consider here. Now, this trade was aggressive. We set it on the VWAP to go long, and I will just go a few candles ahead here. Sometimes what we're waiting for is a read. So what a read means is when these EMAs are bearish and then they actually cross bullish, that is going to be called a primary read. If it's on the 5-minute, it'll be called a secondary read if it's on a 1-minute. So you can see here, we actually got a secondary read after this bullish engulfing candle. Now, we took the trade off of here because we were just quick to get in on the market. We set a limit order off of the VWAP. But another thing you could do is you could wait for that secondary read and you can set up a market order there, or you could also attempt a limit order off the VWAP again. So this was the trade that we took, but there's lots of options here to try out. So let's see how it would have played out if we would have just done a market order. Here, even though this was our actual trade entry right here, we can see if we go forward, we'll just let price kind of play out a little bit here. And you can see that regardless of where we got in, whether it be here or if we took that secondary read, it would have played out quite nicely in our favor for a beautiful 10-point move. And so many people in the war room caught this trade. And that's the beautiful thing about these live trading memberships is one trade literally pays for the membership, which is why I love the system. We bring value, and we're also supported by you guys with the membership fee so that we can do this all the time, and it's worth our time as well. So that's the basic entry model that I've used, and this is the basic one in the war room, but obviously there's a lot of little details and different things to look for on different assets when we're trading this live. So that's where the value is. But try this out for yourself, this entry model. Like I said, for the indicators, you have the VWAP, right? You have the 9 and the 20 EMA on multiple time frames, and you have volume. Volume is the most important thing, obviously. Once again here, we could enter on this candle here because look at the previous candle. This candle right here, see how low a volume that is? That's right before the read. And then when the read actually happened, which is the crossover, we had a large amount of volume and kind of like this nice strong candle. So that is also a nice indication that buyers were in control. Buyers were very interested in this asset. And once again, you can do the same thing on Forex. Forex would be the same outcome, and we trade assets like SPY, NASDAQ. We look at platinum. We also look at Rust as well. Things that translate very well between futures and Forex. So once again, if you want to be a day trader, guys, it's a long process, but the more you expose yourself to content like this, the better and better you get. Show up every day, and I will post content like this all the time. So don't forget to subscribe. Everything's in the description of the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.